Welcome to another episode of Two Brothers, Same Mother. Of course, we got Sheik. Your boy AJ's there too.
Sup?
I know we're gonna do picks way on down the line, but you predicted 10 of the games, bro. Right. So every game that we went against each other, you were right, I was wrong. Including
about time.
This Eagles-Lions game. So
about time.
You know, I started last week with the statement, are the Eagles the worst team in the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
Typical Philly fashion, and I'm going to flip it. Can the Eagles actually be the 7th seed and make the playoffs in the NFC? And before you think, it's crazy, that they only one game out right now, but it's because everybody sucks. And the team that's ahead of them, they beat the Panthers. So it's not out of the realm. It's just that everybody sucks.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree with you. That's what I was getting ready to say. It was like, they could beat the 7th seed, but it would just be – it's not because, the Eagles are turning the corner and they're now a playoff caliber team. No, it's just the NFC sucks.
Yeah, I mean, let me put it in perspective. The other teams that would be vying for that, they're one ahead of the 2-6 Redskins. We'll see what that. This is
Washington football team.
Washington football team. I'm sorry. The Lions are winless and they're only 3 games out of the playoffs. That should tell you. You know what I mean? Lions are the only team right now that really it's out of the question for them to make the playoffs in the NFC.
Right.
So with that being said, do you think this team, if you had to put a percentage on it, okay? This team could be the 7th seed?
Having the 4th easiest schedule in the NFL remaining for the rest of the season, you could probably put a good 55-60% on there. Let's be real. I mean, take away week 18, okay? Take away week 18 is Dallas, which at this point in time, I think Dallas could possibly be already had either the number 1 or number 2 seed locked up at that point.
Yeah, Dallas only plays, I think, their starters if they need to win that game for the 1 seed.
Right. Like if the Rams are able to keep up and both teams only have 1 or 2, you know what I mean, 1 loss or whatever the case may be.
Hey, listen, the Cardinals only have 1 loss too. So.
Or
Green Bay, who only has 1 loss.
Exactly. So you count them outside of this this Chargers game, who they're starting to. Typical in Chargers fashion, they start off really hot, and it seems like no matter who the coach's quarterback is, it seems like they start off the first month hot, and then they go downhill.
To the East Coast, that time difference to the worst run defense in the league, and we just saw what.
So that means we'll pass it. We'll pass it 50 times. So.
Oh yeah, well Jeffrey Lurie was like, listen, you ran the ball 44 times. That was 43 too many. So
facts. But yeah, so it's just Here's how the league helped the Chargers, though. It's a 4:15 kickoff. So it did kind of help them a little bit, which kind of stinks.
Yeah. I mean, you still – listen, man. A 3-hour flight's a 3-hour flight. It still affects you a little bit. But we'll see what the game plan is. But here's the thing. And you brought a good point. Eagles are one of those teams. If it's a great quarterback, for the most part, you're going to lose, okay? If it's an average to below average quarterback, they're in the game or they win. Prime example, they lost to Tom Brady. Even though Derek Carr isn't a great quarterback, at that point he was having a great season. Dak Prescott right now is a top 10 quarterback. When you played the only other team they really lost to, which they just got out coached, that was the Niners, which didn't have a good quarterback. And what's the other game that they lost?
San Fran.
Oh, and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. When they played Sam Darnold, who stinks. When they played Jared Goff, who stinks. And when they played, who did we get our third win against?
Got a first one against Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. Matt Ryan, who is having one of the worst seasons, not just his career, but just of a guy ending the career. He's done.
Do you want to know the difference? Yeah. Do you want to know also what was a big factor in those games? We utilized the running game and tight ends early in the game, and we actually blitzed and mixed in some man with our zone.
Which is why it's perfect. The Chargers will never expect us to bomb the ball.
Right.
You gotta bomb. You gotta get Devontae Smith to bomb.
Yeah, got to. And they'll never expect us to play man with those guys, so they'll just,
But I mean, listen,
they'll put the safeties over in Citizens Bank Park.
Right. You're going to play Daniel Jones, who's been playing pretty decent, but the team is decimated twice. Mm-hmm. You're going to play Heinicke or whoever's going to be backups. I think Heinicke's going to
in Washington, they can't score more than 17 points in a game anyway. So
they like 2 for 10 in the red zone. And when I say 2 for 10, I don't mean 2 for 10, 2 touchdowns and they got field goals. No, like 2 for 10. The other 8 times they didn't get any points. They're allergic to the red zone, yo.
Yeah, worse than us.
The Saints that might have Trevor Siemian when they play us. That's 5. The Zach Wilson, Mike White looked pretty decent beating the Bengals.
Well, reported supposed to be getting cleared this week. Taysom Hill. So
yeah, but Taysom Hill, okay. So you look at that's 2, 4, 5, 6, and then they Teddy Bridgewater.
How's that fan club going?
Listen, man, it's still strong. We still double digits. But but still, that's 2, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 very winnable games, and the Chargers, that's 8. That's what's left on, and the Cowboys.
And don't forget the new Mike White Jets.
I mentioned them. Yes.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes, they're the coaches have no doubt, but New York, there is a quarterback controversy already, which is
yes.
We'll get to some of that stuff about just what's around the league because I wanted to point out how. Apparently, Tyrann Mathieu thinks the Kansas City Chiefs are the most toxic fan base in the NFL. So,
but he did apologize.
Of course, he had to. Everybody has to. But with that being said, it is kind of possible if in fact we stick to a more balanced attack, really utilize this run game. Is it about time that we keep Jordan Howard on the active roster?
Yeah, he should have never been on. In my opinion, he should have never been on there anyway. On the practice squad. Yes. On the practice squad. Yeah, he should have never been on there. I think he's going to stay on there now because Rieger's going to be out for weeks. You got Miles out for weeks. You also got the deadly J.J. Arcega-Whiteside out for undisclosed amount of time now.
Who's going to block the edge, man? Who's going to block?
Right. Jordan Howard. So you know what I mean?
Carrying the ball.
On them passes, hey, you know what I mean? On them. Out routes. But anyway, I get that it was just the Detroit Lions. I get it. I'm not hyped because of that. I did think the running game.
Listen, it's the most important game the Eagles have won 44-6 in their franchise.
Yeah. I think Ocilio Hanson and Chris Clemens have a different opinion of that. But real quick, but what I'm saying.
A long time.
But yeah, so. Looking back and everybody's like talking about Hurts, including myself, I still don't think that he has like that big cannon arm. But a lot of times you don't need that. And sometimes we forget our history. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, I'm not comparing him to Donovan, but I think the type of offense Donovan had, and we'll go Donovan's first year as a starter. I'm not, as we know, Sheik is the numbers guy, right? But I am going to break this down because it was really, it popped out on me. And if Nick Sirianni needs to really check anything of how the identity of his offense, he needs to look at that 2000 Eagles as an offense. I get it. It's a different type of game, but we are not trying to, we're not in that position to make that playoff run and do all these things. But as you see, it works when you use the tight ends and you use the running backs. You know what I'm saying? A struggling quarterback that's trying to figure out himself, if that's his 2 best friends, right? So if you look at Donovan's first year at 16 games, do you know how many what his average completions were per game?
I don't. Not at all.
It was 20.6.
Okay.
He averaged 35.6 attempts. His completion percentage for the season was 58%. He had 21 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and his QBR was 77.8.
I will say you are talking about 21 years ago too, though.
No. Hear me out, though. We're talking about a balanced offense, trying to get this kid into a rhythm. He's a project quarterback.
Sure, and
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No,
right.
I get
but if you look at but to coincide with that, as a team, we averaged 24.8 rushes a game at 117.6 yards per game. I am perfectly fine with 35 attempts versus, we'll just say 36 attempts and 25 rushing attempts. See, in a regular offense without that fucking RPO shit 75% of the time.
That's the key, because Nick Sirianni would say that's what we were doing, but Jalen was pulling it out and throwing it.
Right. Right.
Which goes back to the point I was making, was you got to take the decision out of a project quarterback's head for most of the offense.
And that's what I'm saying.
10% cool. Interesting fact, running backs have been running all over us. Teams have been running all over us. We held DeAndre Swift, and I know it's the Lions and all that, but DeAndre Swift's a pretty decent running back, borderline NFC Pro Bowl running back. We held him to 24 yards rushing. His long was 7, and it wasn't like they weren't giving him the ball. So, with that being said, I mean, TJ Edwards was all over the place. Like, you think Edwards and Taylor should be starting right now? And AJ lost his sound. Welcome back from that commercial break. So we got things fixed. Ultimately, just to make a final point, because I don't really want to go through all that stuff again. Linebackers switching up. TJ Edwards played a lot better. Taylor looks a lot better. I think if those guys continue to progress, we get a stud linebacker. You got a nice linebacker for there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, so my final thing, kind of jokingly, but in a weird way, let's dream for a second, okay?
Okay.
Let's be very, very optimistic.
Let's play what if. Okay.
Let's play what if. Okay. There's 9 games left. Mm-hmm. Let's say if somehow the Eagles go 8-1. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 8-1 or 7-2. So. Let's say 7-2. They end up 10-7, or even 8-1. They end up 11-6. Would you have a problem? Because if that's what happens, 2017 was, we're all we got. We all we need. Underdogs, dog mags. The rallying cry is going to be flower power.
Well, did you hear what Kelce broke down with yesterday?
Yeah, when he started talking about the same stuff. Yes.
Yeah, he actually broke down 1, 2, 3 roots.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's
the Flower Power Eagles.
I will
2021, the season of love.
One thing that's kind of cool. I'm not comparing it to 2017 in the sense of I know they won the Super Bowl. I'm not expecting this team to make the playoffs, although I can see it happening.
I'm not expecting this team to win more than 7-8 wins, but
right. So, I'm not expecting that. But I will say this. If you remember in 2017, during that offseason, story came out about Doug Peterson supposedly being one of the worst coaching hires ever. And, the defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, wanted his job and all that. And the team kind of rallied behind Doug. And after they beat the Redskins in week 1, they actually dumped the Gatorade on him and stuff. It was a little overboard.
Right.
Starting to get the sense that, a lot of the teams started to rally around Nick, like, national media keeps on attacking this dude. Because that whole flower story wasn't just Philly, man. It was national media. Everybody was getting on this guy's case.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they're starting to rally around this dude. And I think that's kind of cool. Like, I don't know if Nick's going to be a good or bad coach. But that locker room seems to be a lot tighter than we might have thought. Even if I think Fletcher Cox spoke the truth about what he was saying and all that, we'll see if he's here past trade deadline. But
what trade deadline? What, till 4:00 tomorrow?
Yep. At 4:00 Tuesday. If you're watching this past Tuesday, 4:00, November 2nd.
November 2nd.
Yeah. But I just think it's kind of cool that this a young team seems to be really tight knit.
Well, what's funny is not just a couple like the regular guys, right, that come out and speak, like the Kelce's and the Lanes, but I don't take a lot what Howard Eskin says to heart a lot. But he was actually on the radio the other day and actually said when everybody was in the height of everybody making fun of Flower Power and all the other stuff and fertilizer, he actually came out and he said he didn't want to give up names, but he said it was more than a handful of players. It was just like, it's kind of funny how everybody outside the locker room were making fun of it, where everybody inside the locker room took that message, and it was actually probably one of the most hypest and the room has got. Like, everybody was like ready to eat nails after he gave that speech.
It's weird because you can't, the way that it's being expressed, you can't see someone being hype about Roots.
Well, from my understanding, it wasn't as typical, like it wasn't as drawn out as it was in the presser. And there was a couple expletives put in the middle when he explained it to his team.
Thus your fertilizer.
He was a lot more animated. You know what I mean?
So listen, we're going to talk about, everything, the Eagles, Chargers with our picks. That's coming up. But, keep it locked here. We're going to have other stuff coming up, including our 5-pack of questions. Once again, if you go to our Facebook page, you can actually put down your answers for the 5-pack of questions too. Right here, Two Brothers, Same Mother.